What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and I'm here with
Gersh1!
And today we're back because salió el sol y se secó la lluvia, and the itsy bitsy spider subió otra vez.
Water spout.
For the greater.
This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, just comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first. And that is what Damned Legion did. He says, if Magnus came back into the Imperial fold, could he take the Emperor's place on the Golden Throne or assist him in some other way? First, let's talk about what would be required for Magnus to come back.
Yeah. So if you're unfamiliar, Magnus the Red is a Primarch of the Thousand Suns. He's a super powerful psyker who reluctantly somewhat had to join Chaos. He was played with Tzeentch. He almost died. His legion was almost taken out. But he pledged himself to Tzeentch again. And the thing is that Magnus was always intended to be the one to sit on the Golden Throne, to power the Astronomicon. But because he barged into the throne of the Emperor psychically, opening that psychic rift, sending a slew of demons to invade, the Emperor got mad, and that's what led to the downfall of Magnus the Red.
Yes, and remember, he is a traitor, or is considered a traitor. So whenever we talk about Chaos coming back into the Imperial fold, usually it's like a no, like you can't do that. Once you go to Chaos, you're there. But the thing about Magnus, and the interesting thing is that he has always been a sorcerer, so he has always had some type of warp energies flowing through him. Yeah. That's the whole reason that he is such a powerful psyker. He was born on Prospero,
or he was made and then sent off into Prospero.
Yeah, but it was like warp energies flowing through him ever since he landed on that planet.
Right. So
coming back to the Imperial fold seems like something that can't happen, but I could see it like happening just because of the fact that he has always been chaotically touched.
The thing about his origins is that unlike all the other Primarchs, he remembered everything from his birth. He also was speaking telepathically to the Emperor during his time on Prospero. So when the Emperor came for him, it's like they were best buddies. It's like almost like he never left. So he always had that relationship of like a best friend with the Emperor. And the way that his downfall came about, like I said, with like Lehman Russ and having to join Chaos because of Tzeentch's machinations, it was almost like he had no choice.
Yeah.
And to that, like him and Ahriman and Tzeentch are always kind of going at it. Not so much on the same path that Tzeentch would like, but they never really see eye to eye because he only has one. Boom. But yeah, so his circumstance is very different from like a lot of the traitorous Marines.
Yeah.
And Primarchs for that matter. So it could potentially happen, but unlikely.
Yeah, and then if it would happen, I think you highlighted something that could be a possibility of him saving the Imperium from Ahriman and his like craziness. And that would be a way for like the Imperium, or for specifically his brother right now, Guilliman, because he's out to be like, okay, maybe Magnus isn't as evil or as bad as originally thought. Maybe there's a bigger plan or a bigger plot. Sorry for the dogs barking. To play. And then he would obviously have to forgive him for fighting Guilliman on, what is it, Luna?
The Luna, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it could happen.
Yeah, the way he's been written, he's too far gone.
Yeah.
But there's that glimpse.
Yeah. And I think it would be kind of like Cypher in that, like, nobody really trusts him, but, like, he shows up and he helps the Imperium. I think that's what would happen if Magnus came back. He wouldn't be able to sit on the Golden Throne just because they wouldn't want him so close to Terra.
Right.
But I do feel like he would come back, help the Imperium, and then pop back into the warp or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
If.
Big if.
Yeah.
Because that would be taking a massive player away from Chaos. And it's like, once he's gone, who's going to be the next Demon Primarch to be Tzeentch's champion?
Right. And who knows?
Yeah.
Alfarius or Omega.
That's true.
Next question, though.
This one is by Jamie Garth. Are Primaris Dreadnoughts piloted by damaged Marines, or were they custom maimed to be pilots or Marines that were damaged in training? No, you're never gonna like kill or put a Marine in that position to just pilot these things.
Yeah.
If all your Marines are 100%, able to fight, you're not gonna want to kill or like cut off its limbs. Eventually, that will happen in the theater of war, and then the dreadnoughts will be used. But yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and the tricky part too is like sometimes you do think that like the Primaris Marines just like they just popped out and like they were fighting, and you're looking at it like if it's a timeline, you're thinking like they popped out at the end of the timeline, but no, like during the what is it, the Indomitus Crusade, these things where Primarises were getting hurt happened, and that's where the dreadnoughts come from. But like you said, it's basically a life support system or a sarcophagus. No one would put a Space Marine in that position.
Right.
You also have to remember that some of the dreadnoughts are crazy.
They are, yeah, literally.
Yeah. So yeah, it's a situation where like you don't want dreadnoughts. It's a last ditch resort to a Marine that's basically destroyed. Good question though.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense, like, if you're not aware of the lore. But honestly, you're not going to hurt a Marine to use a big, dreadnought.
Yes. This next question comes from WAAAGH. Are there any, or are there gray aliens in 40K? No, not that I've come across.
Yeah, like the little green men, like idea. I don't know.
No.
I'm pretty sure there were Xenos that aesthetically were gray, but were they these like the little Martian men that we all kind of know? Probably not.
And even like, I think they would have been destroyed by the by humanity during the golden age of what is it called, technology, or the dark age of technology,
Right.
which would be kind of cool.
This next one is by Just Kano. When were the Space Marines at their most numerous, and exactly how many were there? So that was during the beginning of the Great Crusade, where the Emperor had pretty much gotten all of his sons. And I think there was... Let me see. Because after the heresy, it was like, well, we got to bring it down so that the heresy doesn't happen again. So it went from like a lot to 100,000 Marines at any given time. So they basically said if you're a Codex compliant chapter, you have 1,000 Marines at maximum. But if you look at the 30K era, the Ultramarines had like 100,000 Marines at their disposal. A lot more after the disappearance of like the 2nd and the 11th Legions. So there was a ton of Space Marines during the Horus Heresy and the Great Crusade. Because when you think about it, they had to reconquer what the Imperium is now. So you need a lot of bodies to not just fight those wars, but also keep and hold the worlds that you've conquered.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a ton back in their golden age, so to speak.
Yep. Next question comes from Siobhan Tubbins. I like the daily life videos, but I have watched them all. I guess what I'm saying is, will there be more? Yeah. So the daily life videos, I like to do daily life videos on planets, and I've been doing that right now. Like right now, the fortress world is one of them. So like the daily life on a fortress world is something that I want to build. If you've been following along the 40 facts videos, I've said that like I'm probably not gonna be able to create stuff for a while, but towards the end of July, I feel like I'm gonna be able to like pump out like good stuff, and that's because I'm writing stuff now. So the daily lives are coming.
Like us.
Like us.
Hopefully not too prematurely, though.
Yeah, exactly.
This one's by Iraq9. What one character would you remove from 40K? I, for matter, would like to get rid of the Undying Martyr. He ruined the Angels Resplendent and was most likely an agent of chaos.
The Undying Martyr. That's a good question. Let's think.
Right off the bat, I never liked, even though he's an integral player, I never liked like Core Pharaon, Erebus, like all those like key players in the Wordbearer Legion. They just never sat right with me, and it might be because like they were to blame for the whole heresy, the whole chaos spreading to the Space Marines and the Primarchs. But I think it'd be interesting if you took out those key players, how events would have transpired. Like, was the War Master, was he still going to get injured enough to need the anatheme? Would Lorgar still go on his path and basically fight against a ton of like guys? Like, he fought against the Avatar of Cain. Like, would that still happen? So it'd be interesting to see how events would have played out if like those key players were plucked out of the lore.
Yeah. For me, it would be Drago. I don't think I really like Drago, but I'm not a Grey Knights player. So like the fact that he exists and he is super OP.
Yeah, that's true.
Pisses me off.
They have been trying to retroactively make him a little bit more tame. Like if you read the audiobook, read the audiobook. If you hear the audiobook where he actually fights against Mortarion, he was losing. It's not like he came in and just beat a freaking demon Primarch like that. He was losing, he was about to die, but the utterance of Mortarion's true name, that's what won him the match. Yes.
Next question comes from Mark Sebastian Malichowski. Malichowski? I probably said that wrong. What would happen if a blink entered the Moloch gate? Nothing. So the thing about blanks or gnolls, psychic gnolls, they're people that disrupt psychic energy or warp energies. But just because they exist, or if the warp energy is like thick enough, then it'll like take out the first couple layers of the warp. This is how I visualize it in my head. It would like disrupt the first layers of warp energy, but like the core thickness of that would still be there. Mm-hmm. So when you're dealing with something as big as a warp gate, they can still use it. They can still function around it. Yeah. It's just that it's so much energy that this gnoll does not have the power to destroy it.
Right. It goes from being dummy thick to just thick with one C.
Exactly.
This one's by Simon Teese. Could a Chaos God take away a follower's powers? They probably could, but I feel like the more fun thing to do is just make them into a spawn. Give them so many powers, so many tentacles that they just turn into this like blob of flesh and like mutation.
Yeah.
And it's fun because now you got a little plaything to do with whatever you want to do with.
Yeah. This is a comment, not a question, by Brian Ricker. I want a bed made out of Voldemort's voice. So check out Voldemort's Guide to 40K. Mm-hmm. His voice is so soothing and amazing.
It is.
I think it would be cool to have him in our city and just have him at a park. And whenever you just need to talk about life or 40K, mm-hmm. you like go to that park and he's just sitting there on the bench, just watching like the birds or something. And then you sit next to him and then you guys have a conversation. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be cool.
His life is just ASMR.
Yes.
This one's by Gofaria Rebels. Eating 1 or 2 cream donuts is fine, but eating them consecutively will make you want to puke. As for my question, though, has there ever been a great alliance between other races that would last for a couple centuries? Yeah, I mean, Xenos make alliances with one another here and there. Other Imperial planets will do that too. If they keep it on the hush-hush, this happened between the Tau and, oh man.
A bunch of them. The Tau and the Vespids, the Tau and the Crew, the Tau and all of the auxiliaries.
Yeah.
And then there are some planets, like right before the Damocles Gulf Crusade.
That's what I was thinking of.
There were so many planets that were just like cool with the Tau. Mm-hmm. They would trade with them. They had diplomatic, what are they called? Emissaries?
Embassies.
Yeah, embassies.
Yeah, emissaries and embassies.
Yeah, so they would just talk for the greater good.
Right. It was basically the side chick to those Imperial planets. Yeah. And then the main Imperium was like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah, don't do that. And then they hit him.
Right. And then the Tyranids came and it's like, whoa, we got to take care of that. Yeah. Or the Cabal. That's another huge one.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
We talked about that very briefly, but basically what it is, it's a mixture of humanity and a ton of other Xenos, as well as the Eldar that work together for the good of the universe, the galaxy, not just each other's personal gains.
Think of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but nothing like them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Next question comes from James Murphy. Have orcs Have orcs started salvaging Tau technology? Could orcs then get their own salvaged AI or drones? So orcs have a biological ability to just create certain machines. They don't salvage. They just take whatever is there and they don't recreate it. They make it better. So for example, if they find a Tau drone, they're not going to fix it. Like if it's a wrecked Tau drone, they're not going to fix it so that it could be a Tau drone. They'll take it and create something amazing out of it. Usually something that's going to like, destroy their enemies.
Yeah.
So they don't ever salvage. What is that called? Like when you take and you build something new. They kit bash, basically. They kit bash out of different technology that they find. But it's always like something simple, like, oh, I'm going to create another slugga or another shooter or a chopper. So they'll just take a drone and then just hit people with it.
Yeah.
Now it's a, what is it called? Those, boomerang. Now it's a boomerang, yeah.
This one's by Alistair Smith. It's not a question, but I'll make it a question for you. Have you guys ever used his favorite line from Ben Affleck, which is from 200 Cigarettes? How do you like your eggs in the morning, scrambled or fertilized? I haven't used that one, but I think I'll give it a shot.
That wouldn't work. A lot of lines like that wouldn't work on normal people like us. Us dweebs. You have to look like Ben Affleck in order for lines like that to work.
Yeah.
You have to be good looking.
That's probably how he got Jennifer Lopez again after that gap.
Yeah. He was just up to her. He went up to her and was like, "Yeah, let me fertilize your eggs." If you say that to any girl right now, I'm pretty sure they would like call the police.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or their local inquisitor.
Right. They'll call Voldemort, and then he'll like explain to you why you shouldn't do that. Next question.
Oh, this one is by... Oh, we already did that one. We did that one too. Oh no, we're going... Okay, here's one. So this one is by... Dog Rule. Dog D Rule. If the Emperor was initially formed from combining the souls of multiple shamans into a new immortal figure, could traces of those individual souls or personalities still be present within him? Instead of a truly singular new soul, sort of like a multiple personality dissociative identity collective, could never be with any one identity in full control. It could explain why he seemed to swing drastically in how decent or shittily he treated the Primarchs in different times. Opinions.
That's actually a really good concept, and also you just kind of highlight how at the end with the Primarchs, how because each Primarch is supposed to be a fraction of like some military aspect that the Emperor really liked.
Right.
It could just be those personalities of the shamans that died that were within him, and he put the personalities into those Primarchs.
Subconsciously, maybe even.
Yeah, it's not in the lore. Like that's just like a theory. It's a really good theory.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it could explain why he went from being completely like quiet about humanity and the expansion to, okay, I'm gonna take the front stage and try to lead humanity.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
No, I can't stop thinking as the Emperor being played by John McAvoy. Kind of like he did in Split.
Yeah, he's a really good actor.
He is.
Yeah. Multiple personality disorder for the Emperor. Now it doesn't really matter. He's on the golden throne, so.
Right.
Yeah. Even though I don't like the concept of exploring the Emperor deeper, like in the Horus Heresy novels and stuff like that. I wouldn't want that. I want the Emperor to just be a theme setter, if that makes sense. Like a
TikToker, an influencer.
No, like because you know how like the whole concept of the grimdark future, like the setting itself, in order to create that ambiance, you need demons, you need like this, you need the Inquisition, you need things like that. I think you need the Emperor to be like, our leader is basically a decaying body.
Right.
And that's where it should stay. You shouldn't try to explore that. If anything, you should build upon that and then just have that as like almost a frame in a room. And the theme of the room is what is the most important thing, not the actual frame.
Right.
If that makes sense. I don't know. I'm just talking weird.
No, that makes sense. It's more of an ambiance than the actual praising, reverence, the actual thing.
Yeah.
Almost like a martyr. It's not the person Well, I guess it could be, but it's not the person's acts, but his dying that led to all this.
Exactly. Yep. And those were the questions for today. If you guys have more questions for us, please comment down below. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, as always, this is the Sound Alchemist.
First one.
And we are out.